do.
Okay, we're also live. So,
Hi!
good morning, everyone. Welcome to Insomniacs in the Morning. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Maddie, and this is Insomniacs in the Morning.
Yeah, my hair is very long. Maddie was telling me
Ryan
to start
was
the show.
playing for me what it looks like when he puts his hair over his eyes, but now he's not going to show you.
I
That's
could.
cool. You could do a little ponytail.
Yeah, I could do a top knot, but my hair also comes down like super long now, so we got this Leon Kennedy look going on.
Leon Kennedy, if he was like a scenester.
Yeah, right. Well, anyway, so we were talking about having
half of his head. I don't think Leon would do that. That's more of a Ryan Fagella thing to do.
Well, I mean, I keep the hair on the top of my head a little bit longer anyway, but sort of I always know I need to cut it a little bit once when I'm driving and like the hair's blowing in my face and I can't tie it back and I also can't, do anything with it, but it's like impairing my ability to drive.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's safety concerns, basically.
Yeah, anyway, but yeah. So fun fact, I'm glad that we're talking about my hair, just like my high school yearbook.
Well, usually we kick off the show by talking about how tired we are, but this week we talked about our hair. So,
I mean, legitimately, neither of us have really slept in days.
I mean, it's not even, there's not even really anything
I was
to say about it. You have a good excuse, which is that your dog is sick, and so she's been waking you up, which is sad.
I mean, she's sick with like some sort of stomach issue right now, so the past couple nights she has woken me up, and then there was like before that I just didn't sleep well, so it's already Wednesday. I'm very tired, everyone. Here's my coffee. See, it's a Stark Industries cup. Not that I can turn this correctly, apparently, because I don't know how mirrors work.
See, it's a Stark Industries cup, and I'm hiding the logo because we don't have the rights to it. Tony is very litigious.
Oh my goodness! All right, so this week, well, okay, before I gotta open up my notes here, but this week,
well, the first thing on the list of personal things that we were going to talk about is GENO, which is the sci-fi web series that we talk about every week.
But legitimately, it's almost ready to go. And
okay, so last week I made fun of you for not sending me the pilot and being like, it's almost done, which you've been saying for weeks. And I was like, well, I haven't seen it, so as far as I'm concerned, it's not almost done. So I finally got to watch it this week. It's still not done because I have to finish writing songs for it.
But and I got to do a couple edits to make it cleaner.
Done. And that's terrifying. So now I've progressed onward from feeling like it will never be done to being like, it's now too real. Are you reaching that point? Like, do you feel kind of weird about it?
No, I don't feel that weird about it. I feel like I'm ready to release it.
So for me, it just suddenly appeared in my life. And I'm like,
yeah, because I've been looking at hours and hours and hours of footage, so it's not that crazy to me, even though I've written the majority of our scripts for the GENO series, so
but we've never filmed any of them.
That's true.
That's weird to me.
That's blowing your mind a little bit. I know.
It's not even that it's blowing my mind in a positive way. It's almost in a weird way where it's why is this video out there? It's almost impossible to even explain to anyone else.
I think it's going to be more crazy to you when we actually release it, and unfortunately we don't have an exact release date, but it's going to be within a week or two. So I mean,
say that in actually watching it, it's a very unusual show.
Well, we knew that in advance, though. That's not anything.
In watching it,
unexpected.
I was like, this is not a show that everyone will like, which is not a bad thing. But I was kind of like, this is strange.
It's a very specific audience, and that's why I keep saying it's very, sort of 90s Nickelodeon sci-fi, but for adults.
I don't even know if I would compare it. It's
really?
Its own thing.
It's weird. It's weird, and it's gonna be when we posted Demon, which was that show for everyone that's
it's not gonna be like that. Demon
no, it's not.
Really
but
bad.
But I mean, to me, it's similar because we're going to be posting this video that we've known about forever and have made 20 years ago. But now it's something we made now. But it's a series we've been trying to get off the ground for a really long time. So it's going to be weird in the same way that people watch Demon and there was suddenly 1,000 viewers on that, and you were like, "Holy shit! I can't believe 1,000 people."
I don't know if this will be that way. I'm not.
I think this is a little bit better than that, hopefully. But
yeah, that's true. But it's a strange thing thing. So if a bunch of people don't watch it, I'm not going to be disappointed. That's not like why we made it. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe when it comes out, we can try to explain to people what it is and like how we can do a little segment about like how long we've been writing GENO, which I know we've mentioned on the show before, but I don't feel like we've actually really.
Well, but I mean, here's the thing: is that after we release this, we do have a video that we're going to release. That's you and me rereading a story you wrote that was GENO oriented, but like when you wrote it when you were 12. So yeah. I mean,
so like we've been writing stuff in this world since we were kids, but it might be easier to explain that once those things are out and we can kind of be like, now you know who the characters are. So
so basically the point of this is that there'll be a release date soon and hopefully some promotional images, so just follow the Atomic Blue stuff because that's where we're going to post a lot of that and announce things.
And if you like really weird sci-fi awkward comedies, you'll probably like this weird video that we made. Anyway, that's it for GENO. Sorry I talked so long about it. Ryan's going to Horrorfest this week.
I was going to say this weekend in Danbury, Connecticut, I will be at Horrorfest helping out or working for this team called Evidence of Evil, and they are doing an escape room there called The Chamber, except it's horror themed. And the way I can best put it without giving anything away is that it sort of looks like you are actually within the demo of Resident Evil 7, although that was not the inspiration because it was built prior to that ever being released. So if you liked that, want to experience that in real life, you can have that opportunity at Horrorfest. But I'm pretty pumped about it. It's going to be a good time. You know me, I like my horror stuff. So
are you going to shout "Welcome to the family" at everyone?
I should. No, I can't because I can't.
Copyrighted.
No, it's not even that. I just can't even. I mean, like I can't give away a lot about what's in the room or what I'm doing for it.
But you will be saying "Welcome to the family." No,
probably at some point.
Okay, good.
So, I mean, that's a whole fun thing. I've been replaying Resident Evil 6 with Steph, which you know, and I don't know how I don't remember this, but like this time around we're going through and we're getting all the emblems and all the files and then actually reading them. And like the main villain of Resident Evil 6 runs a secret organization called The Family. And I was like, oh, apparently this is like very specifically a shout out to like they set this all up in the last game, and I guess a lot of people don't remember that because a lot of people didn't like Resident Evil 6.
Yeah, I don't think people played that besides you, and even you apparently did.
Yeah,
all the lore.
But interestingly, Ada worked for this guy that like ran the family, and then she went rogue for him. So it is possible in the Resident Evil 7 that would be Ada that's on the phone. That would make sense. That's how she would know who everyone is. So
yeah,
I like how you're theorizing on Resident Evil. That is like
really makes sense.
That is just like I don't care about this.
No, I do care, Ryan. You know I do. I'm just really tired.
Okay.
There's another part of the game coming out soon, right? Like you shared that trailer on my wall, and
I don't know if that's like a second part of the demo or if that's like the actual game that they released footage for. I like how that's not even on our topic list for some reason.
I know,
but like...
we're just talking about it anyway. Then you accused me of not caring. Whatever.
Yeah. Obviously you did because
game with you
went right into that. Yeah. They did release some more footage of one of the games, whether it's the demo or the actual game itself, and it was called like the something like I want to say Torchlight, but that's not right.
Yeah, that's a different game.
Yeah, so they were like, it's you're playing as a girl now, and like this woman is following you around with like a lamp, and you're hiding from her. Very similar to, is it Amnesia? Yeah, it's Amnesia. Yeah. I didn't finish Amnesia, so, and you're basically running and hiding from the character. And a lot of people are like, sort of like, is this gonna be a good Resident Evil game? There's no zombies. Like, what's happening? Like, Resident Evil does involve like hiding and running around, but it is very scary, and people are excited about that and going back to its roots. So it's a very mixed reaction to whatever they're doing, which is honestly good marketing on Capcom's part because they're, you know what I mean? Like, they're creating a buzz.
Been talking about how it's gonna have stealth, and like, I really don't like stealth games because
I don't either. I like shooting zombies.
Good at them. I'm not good at them. So it's not even, after a certain point, it's not even scary to me. It's just frustrating because I'm like, okay, I got caught again. Now I'm dead again. And then like, that just like Do you know what I mean? Like, it just
Yeah.
keeps happening over and over, and I'm just like, all right, I hate this. So I'm pretty likely to get burned out if that's the kind of game that it is. But we'll just make Steph play it, and we'll watch her play it.
Yeah, pretty much. Although she doesn't like stealth games either. She was telling me
I don't
that.
know
She
if
was
we're
like,
gonna make it.
because she was like, if it's gonna be a stealth game, I'm not gonna want to play this. And I was like, I know. You and I like zombies and shooting zombies and shooting stupid monsters that evolve from some other stupid thing. Like, that's the appeal to us. So, I mean, I don't care. I'll play a game anyway. But I did try playing Amnesia with Mary Ellen on her very, 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 very first Let's Play on Atomic Blue Productions.
Yeah,
and we had fun because it was Mary Ellen and I, but there was just so much of us like having to like sit around waiting for monsters to pass, and like that's just, I mean, it's not scary to me. It's sort of boring because I'm just one of those people that like games that are fast paced and I want to keep moving.
Well, especially for a Let's Play, like that's a lot of time to kill, like telling jokes and stuff. And like obviously you guys do great.
I mean, we did it for Five Nights at Freddy's, but at least like, you know,
that game's kind of got things going on in it. Though.
Right. And also like you don't really know what's happening. Like I guess you didn't know what's happening in Amnesia either, but like
I don't know. I've played it and it's hard for me to imagine doing a Let's Play for it. I thought the first game that you guys played was a different horror game. That one where you're like a
Outlast.
Yeah, the writer
that
or
was
something.
well, we did sort of like a couple pilots of
the
Let's
go
Play.
Back and watch those. I really like your old Let's Plays.
Yeah.
Anyway, we should probably do workout tips.
We should. Mary Ellen and I are trying to figure out a way to continue the show remotely, but we haven't figured that out yet. It's probably gonna involve Skype or something.
Well, this show, Google Hangouts, has been so reliable, and now
don't worry
Google
because Google Hangouts is
going
away, and we haven't figured out what we're gonna do with that.
Actually, so if anybody
the week then that it's going away, I'm gonna be on vacation, so I don't know. We're gonna come back.
You still want us to do a show that week, and I'm like,
I know, you talked me out of it.
Not do that. All right, don't worry about that. Do you want to do your workout tip?
Yeah, let's wake up. So I have a workout tip today that is a cardio, because we have not talked a lot about cardio on here except for running repeatedly and playing Pokemon Go.
But yeah.
So like an easy cardio move that you can do that's actually a lot of fun for me is called the skater. And it's literally where you position yourself like you're skating, except you're standing in place and you're kind of like hopping. So you put like one arm in front of you, you put the other leg behind you, like, you know, like skating position, and then switch it. So you're just like doing that repeatedly and hopping over and over again. And, you know, like obviously because you're jumping around and moving your entire body, you're going to work up.
Do you do that in between lifting weights? Like, do you do?
Yeah, I always do stuff like that, whether it's like punches or like, you know, I forget what it's called when you like raise your arm up and then bring it to your knee and do a bunch of those. But so, I mean, there's just basically a lot of different things you can do. At least with the skater, you can feel like you're doing something that involves moving, or I don't know, like to me, the elbow to the knees thing is really boring. There's like a piece of virus here, like floating around in front of my face, and I'm trying to catch it.
I wasn't sure what you were doing.
You were like, is that part of the exercise? And I'm like, no.
It just looked like you were moving around, like trying to pick something up. And I was like, all right, Ryan's just picking up his coffee. And now you are.
Yeah, I am. But yeah, so
some days I just can't find my coffee cup. That's right.
So it's very simple, and I like doing it, and you would probably enjoy doing it because you actually like skating.
I do like skating. I haven't been rollerblading for a while. I did that on workout tips a while ago, and I was thinking about how I haven't been for a while. But it's just so much easier to just go running.
That's like I have a list of shit that I want to get, and rollerblades is up there along with the bike because I would really like those two things again.
Well, they're expensive. I mean, like that's
and it's not really a goal until we move out of our apartment into an area that I feel like it's easier to just pull out those two items, and also like be able to do it with my dog who's not ready to do those things yet.
Yeah, actually, yeah, maybe don't. I honestly, rollerblades are really expensive, and they require like putting on so much stuff when you get to the place you're going to rollerblade at. I recommended it on the show and it was still really fun, but like if you're not a person who's used to working out, that's like not what I would recommend.
But
like I'm always like low barrier to entry.
You can pretend that you're Dazzler
Yeah, and I do. I pretend I'm Dazzler.
Yeah, like people are looking at Maddie and she's like pretending to shoot things with her fingers, and everyone's like, "What the
and
hell's
I'm
up
like
with that
singing
shit?"
songs.
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
know,
like,
right?
I'm a pop star, and everybody's like, "Wow,
I'm an X-Men," and everyone's like, "This little girl is crazy."
that weirdo." Okay, so I did work out only once this week on Sunday because the past couple of days have been really busy with band stuff again. So I'm back in the hole on that.
Yeah, you and I keep on being like, so anyway, about GENO and Robot Knights.
I know.
But like, you know what? People are paying you to do it, so I mean, come on.
I know. So I expect next week for me to complain about not sleeping because we have to go back into the studio next week. So this week we're rehearsing to go back into the studio. Oh, so it's like already becoming a thing again. I feel like I had a reprieve for a couple of weeks there where we were like not doing that many practices. So anyway, I haven't even really been exercising a ton lately, but I did do a workout video on Sunday, and I think I've recommended this before, but I'll say it again just in case. But like, we've talked about the Beachbody workout videos before, and my favorite one is Hip-Hop Abs. Have you done those ones?
No, I really haven't done any of the Beachbody stuff.
I really like that video set, and I don't follow the calendar for it. Like, there's specific calendars for all of them that are like, there's these 6 videos and you can do them in a specific order. I don't give a shit about that, and I actually recommend that you don't. Like, I would say get the videos. That one is my favorite one, but there's lots of different ones that are great, and there's like a leg video and like different ab videos and an arm video, and like there's a 5-minute abs, which is really awesome because it's also aerobic, because hip-hop abs is like you're doing hip-hop dance moves and it's working out your abs at the same time. I swear they're not paying me for any of this. I wish they would, but they're not. And this is just genuinely a video I like. So I really like the leg day one because it's actually only 25 minutes.
And it sounds like it's fun. Like
it's really fun, and so like I can put on my own music. I was going to
ask if that's what you do.
Yeah, it is. And so, oh, and I meant to talk about this before. We can put a link in the show notes, but I finally put my entire workout playlist on Spotify, so now people can listen to all the Britney Spears.
I got to get on that.
Work out too.
I have to make some playlists to do the same thing, so I'm right there with you.
So like basically the reason why I like Hip-Hop Abs is because there's like a 5 to 10 minute workout, there's like a 25-minute workout, and then there's like some 35-minute ones. So depending on how much time you have on a given day, you can just kind of like do it, and it feels really fast. So like I really like the workouts that have those because I don't know, I think it's okay if you can't work out for that long on a given day. Like some days I'm just really busy and I don't have time, or it's like a lunch break or something.
That's sort of how I feel about working out in general, and that's why I have to squeeze it in between things.
Which is a good way to do it. But like, I think even doing like a really short video is fine. Like I
agree, because at least you're doing something. And I understand like not either wanting to go to the gym because you don't want to work out in front of other people or you feel uncomfortable about it, or if you don't have time. I had a gym membership. We both did it at one point. It was nice to like be able to go in and go out, but like it is like a time suck.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? And like
that's going to and from the gym. That's like huge amounts of time. Plus like changing into your workout clothes when you get there.
And then once when I got a dog too, I was like going in and then getting out and then like going out and running with the dog for another hour. And I was like, okay, this is not
too much. Yeah.
And I was like, I had to start combining things. I get that. I mean, so I understand why a video is perfect for that, because you can sort of like squeeze it in where you want to. And with a video, if you need to pause it, you can. And you don't need to feel guilty about it because like, you know, you got to do what you got to do.
It's totally fine. And like, I guess I'm just saying like, try some videos. And then once you've tried them, you'll know how long each of them is and you'll know which ones have workouts you really like. Like, it's worth trying every video that your friends have and this is another tip. I meant to give these tips weeks ago and I didn't write them down. This is a great one. Did you know that you can go to the library and check out workout videos? Did you know this? For free. This is how I got a lot of the videos that I have because
I've never tried workout ones, but I remember I used to go to the library and take stuff out for free all the time. That's how I watched like most of Monty Python as a teenager.
That's awesome. Like I didn't realize this until my mom told me this a couple years ago, but you can check out workout videos. That's how I like tried out the P90. There's like multiple versions of P90 and I found the one that I like by trying it out. And like, The thing about workout videos is they're actually really expensive, and they should be because they're supposed to replace a gym membership, and they're like pretty hard to make. But it's hard to know whether you should be spending like $60 on videos or not if you're not really going to use that.
There's a difference between gym memberships and like a video, though, because at a gym you have equipment available to you.
Totally.
So I mean, there is that.
I mean, it's not as good, but like a gym membership is like $60 a month, and like the videos are like that one time. I don't know. I think it's worth it given how many great videos I have. I have no regrets about them. But the reason why I was able to try P90 this year, which is an incredibly expensive package, it's like $120 because it's like 10 videos and it's like tons of weightlifting tips. It's like a very extensive workout plan.
Yeah.
And it actually comes with one of those, it's like a elastic cable that has handles.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And it shows you how to do workouts with that, which is a cool piece of equipment. It's worth getting if you like P90. But the way to try it out is that most libraries, your public library probably has a copy of all the P90 DVDs. And like, you can try it out, which is amazing.
I think it's funny that you bring up the library because I was just thinking about that when I was out walking the dog too. Like, but like it's
go to the library, Ryan.
I don't know if anybody here who's listening knows what a library is, but there are these places that exist that have books that you can take out for limited time for free.
Okay. Well,
sorry.
It's seriously magical, guys. It's really.
Goliath from Gargoyles tells you to go to the library and read, so you should listen to him.
Oh my gosh, I really want that poster. I genuinely want it, and I can't find it. It's nowhere. Okay. Now we're going to transition to the news, but before we get there, please buy us the Gargoyles themed poster that shows a picture of Goliath from Gargoyles reading a book and it says read. Please buy both of us that if you find it. And secondly, please email us some listener mail right now at insomniacsinthemorning@gmail.com telling us where to buy that poster, but also telling us what your favorite band when you were a kid is. So I actually had a question about that listener prompt. Do you want people to tell us their favorite band when they were a kid or when they were like a teenager?
A teenager. I think I've been saying teen. So as a teen. I mean,
that's what I thought, but I don't know.
It all kind of melds together, but whatever.
I know, because we were so hardcore as kids. We were just already listening to incredibly goth music.
Oh yeah, clearly.
That's not true.
Like what? Blue Dabba Dee Dabba Die. Like.
Oh my God! Yeah.
We're not even there. Like we'll get to that later.
We'll get to it.
Let's start the morning news.
First, I just want to say I'm so fucking pumped that Zendaya is Mary Jane Watson in Spider-Man Homecoming. Mm-hmm. I already said way back on our Civil War episode, before that episode, we were like, we don't care about Spider-Man. We said that like 1,000 times on this show. We were both like, we just don't care about him.
I know.
But like, we both saw Civil War, and I think we both agreed. I know I said, I loved the kid that they cast as Spider-Man. And I like went in expecting to hate him.
Me too, because it's Spider-Man and we just don't care. Like,
I thought that he was great. Tom Holland. I just thought he was great. And I was like, okay, I can't even hate this kid.
He's so like too good. Like, I mean, yeah. So
after that, I was like, fuck, now I'm like pumped for Spider-Man, but I don't really want to support it because the cast hasn't been diverse at all. And it seems like the same idea over again. Right. Except now they're casting Zendaya as Mary Jane. She's mixed race and her dad is black, if I recall correctly. I don't know like everything, but mostly she's a model, actor, singer, dancer. She's one of those Disney kids, so she's like a quadruple threat. Like she does everything, which is exactly like Mary Jane. And she's dyed her hair red before, and it looks fucking rad. I don't know if you've seen all those pictures that people have been sharing of her with red hair. That looks incredible.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I mean,
that doesn't matter to me either. I just think it looks really cool.
I think it's awesome that they cast her. I know that there are people who are like it's inaccurate. Yes, exactly. And I was like, all right, well, all these characters were created when there were like no people of color in comic books, period.
Which is fucked up. But also, she literally is Mary Jane. Like, she is a model and a singer and a dancer. Like, she is all the things that you want her to be. She looks like a model. Like, she's got incredible cheekbones. She's got the look. She's got the attitude for it. She's like spunky and funny and like charming and all the things that you want Mary Jane to be. So there's literally no reason not to adore the fact that this happened. And Peter in the original movies, I don't know if they're going to keep this same concept, but they probably will because this is how they usually do Mary Jane stuff. Usually they're supposed to be neighbors, and Peter's supposed to live in like a low income area, so like it would be more diverse. Like he's supposed to be living in an area where it's diverse. Like it turns out that New York City like,
isn't all just white people?
Like, it's supposed to be that way. So it makes sense that he would have friends who aren't white. And it's crazy that every other movie up until now has been like Peter Parker at the all-white school for white kids. Like that's so dumb to me. So I'm really glad that they're changing
and also
it.
like I remember the first the Sam Raimi's films were like
which I still love
goes
those
to
movies.
School, and it's like we're in school in New York City, but then it goes to like this nice like suburb that is like something like where we grew
There's
up,
like a lawn where they're
I know.
wandering around in school, and I'm like, have these people been to
New York? Do they know that in Manhattan they don't have like grass? Like
it's like Xavier's mansion, but it's in the middle of New York City. I don't know. I remember thinking there were a lot of things about that movie that were weird, and I was tweeting about this. Like Tobey Maguire was like 27 when he was in that movie.
I know, and he was playing like a 16-year-old. It was crazy.
But what's really cool is that Tom Holland and Zendaya are both 19 and 18. So they're like almost exactly the same age. I think they're like 6 months apart, and they're both actually teenagers. So that's just really cool. I think that casting teens as teens is a great way to get young people interested in your movie and have them actually feel like they can connect to the characters and like what's happening to them.
Yeah, totally. It's too bad that it can't be flipped the other way around. So when there's like an older character, they can't kind of like cast an old person. You know what I mean?
Well,
like Aunt May is being played by somebody who is like significantly younger than Aunt May should be.
And also
so I'm
she's
just saying,
like ridiculously hot, which is a crazy twist on Aunt May. But we talked about that during the Civil War episode.
We did.
I don't know. I'm excited enough about the rest of the movie that I'm kind of willing to give them a pass on like that, even though it's really strange. And I don't know.
I do want to let you know, Maddie, since you have what is the Marvel app? I forget what it's called.
Marvel Unlimited.
Yes, Marvel Unlimited. Check out Spider-Gwen because that's very good.
I have read the first one. I loved it, and I have to go back and like keep going.
Yeah, it's like in an alternate universe, but it's like really awesome, and I'm really into it.
I love it. Spider-Gwen she's in a band, which no one told me for some reason. We were just talking about how I'll read like or watch anything with a fictional girl band in it.
I know. We'll get to that later too.
Yeah, but Spider-Gwen, she's in a band, and I was as soon as I started reading it, I was like, why didn't anyone tell me she was in a rock band? Like, I would have picked this up even faster. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I did a shitty thing with that by reading the entire book while standing in a bookstore, which is not something you should do.
Oh,
give your money.
Book? I don't know. If you don't have money, like you need to read it somehow.
At the time, you didn't, so I just read it. But
I
now
think
I have
a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
You like at Barnes and Noble, right? It's like something like that.
Went to the comic book aisle, picked up the first volume, and
people
stood there
do that
and read
stuff
it.
all the time, especially with Barnes and Noble because they have like Starbucks and stuff in there, so people get their coffees and then they sit around and read, and then like
they don't buy the book. They're like me; they carefully put it back on the shelf without creasing any of it.
with the corporate chain like Barnes and Noble, how much money are like the actual authors getting from the books being sold? You know what I mean? Like.
Point. I hope that Marvel Unlimited is supporting authors because it's like $10 a month.
I think that's technically direct. That's actually by Marvel though, right?
Yeah,
it's not like a third party.
Supporting the comics that I like. I hope I am. I actually bought a bunch of DC comics this week because I really wanted to check out some of the Poison Ivy stuff that's been coming out. Because I really liked what I saw.
Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn together and that animated series as a couple. Yeah, I know.
I bought all of those. So I've been checking those out. Anyway, those are good. But that's really the only DC thing I'm interested in. But I know we make fun of DC a lot around here. So I figured I would say that I actually did buy some DC comics.
Well, you're going to want to read the Greg Rucka stuff on the new Wonder Woman.
That's true. I should check that out.
I just realized there's a pile of crap behind me that's like in my way. So excuse me as I throw it over here.
Okay.
Hey, what's up? All right, anyway, continuing on. So in other news,
that was a good transition. Speaking
of
Batman, or speaking of DC specifically, Adam West is making an animated. It's animated, right? It's like an animated Batman
appearance. It's him
movie?
And he didn't make it, but he's doing the voice.
Well, he's been
Batman.
like producing or putting it together for years. Like years he's been
Well,
saying
probably.
that he's going
It's
to
like
put it out.
his favorite thing to do is like go back and be Batman. Like,
Well, I don't know. I think he's really awesome. And like,
I do too. I wonder how he's like, how much he's like really old, right? Like,
I
how
have a
is he
lot of
still
respect
going?
for him.
Me
I don't
too. I
know.
think
I
he's
don't know how
hilarious.
old he is. He's eternal. And I seriously just, I love his attitude about the character at this point. And Carol and I were just watching the Batman the Animated Series episode that he's in, the Gray Ghost episode. Do you remember that he was in that? There's
I
like
don't
an
remember that.
old-timey episode of Batman the Animated Series in the first season where Bruce Wayne as a boy is watching a TV show that's kind of inspired by like The Shadow and like all those
No, I
superheroes
didn't.
that came out before. I didn't remember this episode at all.
I don't
but
remember that
Carol-
at all. I thought you were going to say the episode where they had like 3 different animators do different styles of the Batman series, and there was
I
one that was
haven't
based
gotten
on
there
the Adam
yet.
West one.
I don't
Yeah.
remember that, but Adam West came in and voiced this old character who was based on Batman, but was like invented for the purposes of this show. And it was really cool. So like, he's a really good sport. He's always been willing to like come in and make fun of himself. Obviously he's like Mayor West on Family Guy and stuff. But
Right.
like this episode was interesting because it was about how in the fictional world of the animated series, Adam West's character was cast as this Batman character. And then that ended up like destroying his acting career, which is kind of something that actually happened to Adam West at the time. Like he was a serious actor at the time, and then he started playing Batman, and then everybody was like, well, we can't take you seriously anymore. You played this comedic role, and like that's the only thing we can see you as.
Yeah.
And so after that, I think he was kind of not resentful, but like he couldn't figure out how to deal with it. And so now he has made a living out of being this very specific version of Batman, and he's found a way to make it work. But I think it was actually pretty hard for him to get work for a while there, like in those years in between Batman and now, before people were nostalgic for the old show. Do you know what I mean? Like
No,
now
I
he
know what
can
you
kind of
mean.
cash in on nostalgia, but he was so pigeonholed as this specific character that I feel like it would probably be really hard to like have a loving relationship with your fans. But he's really come back around at this point, and like now he's so cool about meeting people and like
Right.
having a great attitude. Like I've seen so many interviews with him because I'm like obsessed with Adam West.
And so now he's doing this animated film that's put out by DC by the same team that does all the animated films, that is bringing back together him and Burt Ward and Julie
Who was
Newmar.
Robin, and Julie Newmar was Catwoman in the movie. Eartha Kitt, unfortunately, is no longer with us, but she was one of the Catwomen in the TV show.
Yep.
But yeah, so
She was
they got
great,
Julie
too.
Newmar. Yeah, there's so many great.
There were like 3
Really
different
great
Catwomen, and they were all awesome.
They were all amazing. Like I friggin' love those old episodes. Anyway, they're all on YouTube. You can go watch them.
Yep. And so anyway, so it's an animated series that's, animated movie that's stylized to be set in that universe, which
I am
is interesting.
100% going to check this out as soon as it's out. I will. That's like a day one for me. I'm going to totally.
I mean,
see that.
you wanted to watch Killing Joke right away too, right?
No. I still haven't seen that. Carol
No, you're
actually
fine.
did watch it. And
Ben was like about to rent it, and I was like, I don't know if I want to like pay money to watch this. But you already bought Batman
pirated
v
it.
Superman, and I'm like, what? Why?
Well, I don't know. Ben likes to watch things that are bad so that he can have a critical lens upon them.
I mean, that's true. That is true.
That's Ben's hobby. And do you want to talk about Sonic?
Yes, I do. Okay, so while we're on the topic of TV shows, all of Sonic Boom, the TV show, is on Hulu right now, and I made my way through it because I was like, I love Sonic the Hedgehog. I am a few episodes we talked about how Sonic the Hedgehog fans are obsessively loyal to the series, and I'm one of those guys.
You are a Sonic fan.
Like I read the comic
by
books,
definition.
so, like, I mean, yeah. And I wasn't expecting much from it because the Sonic Boom video game is notorious like for being a terrible game that is like glitchy as fuck and completely unfinished.
Great theme song though.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, what?
The Sonic Boom theme song, is that from the TV show? I don't even know what it's from. I just like that song.
The one that goes Sonic Boom. That's from that's like from Sega CD. Like it's from like 20 years ago.
I like that song. I'm not a Sonic fan, but I really like the music. That's
well,
all
so do
I know about.
But that's the title is a throwback to that.
Mhm.
So anyway, so this
The
TV
song?
show is like an animated TV show of Sonic the Hedgehog. It's 3D CG, the first, I think, Sonic series that's been put that way. Because there's been like a shitload of Sonic the Hedgehog TV shows. And
I
so I
should
wasn't
have researched
expecting
this.
much.
Is this like one of the Sonic shows where Jaleel White is playing Sonic?
No, this is a new show. This is
Okay,
like this is to go along with the video game that came out. But like they aren't related because like they were given like the character models basically while the game is being made, and like, all right, write some episodes. And really, honestly, the TV show is pretty great. I wasn't expecting that. It's very tongue in cheek, and they break every wall 24/7 because they consistently talk about how they're in a TV show on a cartoon. And like they're also like will reference the fact that there's an episode going on around them at all times, which is interesting.
So it's kind of like Animaniacs.
Yeah, it's very influenced by that, and a little bit of Venture Brothers in there too, because Dr. Robotnik in this is technically the villain, but really he just kind of is like this tech bro that wants to hang out with everyone, but nobody wants to hang out with him, so he just keeps on attacking everyone over and over. And he's also like, I'm part of the Evil Genius Club. But
weird.
they wrote Robotnik in a totally different way in this, where he's sort of like this like evil guy, I guess, with quotation marks, where he's constantly doing evil things because that's his role. But he also likes to do other things, like collect little dogs that he plays with Amy Rose. Like Amy Rose and him team up a whole bunch in the series because like Amy's constantly being like pushed to the side by Sonic and Tails and Knuckles, and like she's like, you know, I'm just as strong as you guys, and if you guys aren't going to listen to me, I'm going to work with Robotnik. And all the characters are written to be a little ridiculous. The only character who's not themselves really is Knuckles, who they wrote as like somebody that's super stupid.
Weird. All right.
The big dumb guy, I guess they wanted to do. But Amy and Tails and Sonic are all like comedic versions of the characters who they are in the video games. And so is Robotnik. Like it's almost making fun of the games in a way. So like it's funny. And I don't know how else to put it. I was really into it. I found myself laughing a lot more than I was expecting to. Like it was just background noise to me. But then honestly, like the writing and the jokes were pretty clever most of the time. So I was like, okay, so this is not what I was expecting at all. And it also wrote Robotnik in a way where I actually enjoyed his character and like felt like there was some more depth to him other than like capturing animals and turning them into robots, you know?
Yeah, but like who can't relate to that struggle, you know? Like
I know. I mean, like but they also wrote him so funny, like to be like, there's times where he's just like lazing around his lair and like a onesie, just like chilling out, like eating food.
I like it when they characterize villains that way, as like.
So do I. And like, you know, some days, and like when he does that and he doesn't attack the Sonic the Hedgehog characters, are like, is something wrong? Should we go check on him? He's not attacking us. So then they do, and it's like that kind of shit.
Yeah, that's pretty great. I like it when there's like a reciprocal relationship between the hero and the villain, where the hero's like, I kind of also need you to try to kidnap me because that's what I'm into. So
yeah, I know. I mean, and that's why I was like, it's sort of like Venture Brothers, where it's like, you know, in Venture Brothers, they're sort of like,
Venture Brothers, it's like extremely obvious that like everything about that show is totally constructed. Like the Monarch and Dr. Venture acknowledge that. In a way
right. And like that there's like societies and stuff. And like there's that in this show too. Like there's the evil society, but they're like really bad at being evil. And Dr. Ronnick's like, what the fuck's wrong with you people? Like let me show you how to do it. And then he fucks it up.
On the show.
Yeah, they do a lot of that. There's actually a point where Shadow comes in like the season finale, and they're like, who's this guy? And Robotnik's like, how do you not know? He's like the second most popular character in all of the canon. Like,
true, mostly because of people like you who are really goth and like Shadow.
Well, okay, so I mean, the point is that even though the game was really terrible, the TV show had nothing to work on, so the writers just like went to town, and like they were obviously all people who played Sonic the Hedgehog growing up, so they know the characters, they know the structure, and they like were able to write something that was interesting by writing something that made fun of the games a little bit, and also like sort of the fandom that they are involved with a little bit, and also like writing it as like they know that they're in a TV show, which is funny to me.
That's basically like you describing every single thing you would want it to be. So it's like a perfect show for you.
It really is. It was not, you know, I was not expecting it to be as good as it was, and I definitely recommend it if you like, you know, enjoy Sonic the Hedgehog or you want something to laugh at. The first couple episodes are a little rough, but I say that about any TV show. Like even Steven Universe, which I love, like you gotta like sort of like push through the first few episodes really to let it get moving. So because you know, it has to scope itself out. GENO will probably be the same way. It will probably be like, we don't we're figuring
Yeah,
out.
once we're wildly successful, we're
Yeah,
gonna look back
making
on the
billions of
pilot.
dollars. Yeah.
Oh
Anyway, so
my
I've talked too
God.
much about this now. So you can tell me, well, on the subject of robots, you can tell me about the Valkyrie.
We can talk about this a little. So I did write an article about this last week, but NASA made the first bipedal robot that they're going to send on a Mars mission because crazily we now live in a future where people are talking about going to Mars.
Mhm.
That in and of itself is cool, but also this robot is going to go, and the robot's named Valkyrie and looks really, really cool. And I think it's cool that they named a robot.
It's like a person.
Yeah. And also it reminds me of Alien in the sense that there's like a robot that's gonna go on the mission
Okay.
and like help everybody out. And I don't know, it made me really excited. So you can check out that article if you want to. I mean, I write so many articles, but sometimes I write about things that are cool.
I mean, it was funny that Mary Sue was like, let's just let Maddie be nerdy right now. So
they let me do a lot of stuff that I want to do. It's pretty rare that they turn me down when I'm like, can I write about a robot again? Like
I guess you should clarify that. I mean, obviously, because of the robot nights, you love robots and you talk about it on Twitter all the time, but you also love space and sci-fi. So this is all like converging on like one subject for you.
Stuff. I'm pretty excited about the Mars missions. I don't really cover like the space beat at work, but I do cover robots. So
therefore you got to cover space.
I did get to cover that story, but like, yeah.
Do you think it's going to turn into the Terminator?
I hope so. I mean, I feel like robots deserve to go to Mars and we don't. So, I mean,
you're like, I think humans should be put out of their misery.
I kind of feel that way. Like, not to get too dark about it, but I don't know. It seems like we fuck up a lot. Yep. Anyway, let's keep going because I know we have more stuff to do.
Yeah, we do. Okay, so
there was a fun video going around the internet of Japan's closing ceremony for
the Olympics, and
they're going to host the Olympics
in 2020. And so nobody was really expecting them to do this like crazy video. I don't know why not. I mean, I guess it's Japan,
they did
and they're
like a fun performance, and it's like
right. And then so they're like, like in all of them, they're like coming like the previous Olympics. They do sort of like in 4 years. This is where the next one's going to be held. And so they did that, and so they showed like lots of people in Japan like, like working out, like running through like landmarks and through shrines, and like a lot of the Japanese culture, including the food and like their practices and stuff like that. And but then it like gets crazy, and then like suddenly like Pac-Man is there and Hello Kitty, and like it's just like super like overstimulation. And then like who is it that
the prime minister.
The prime minister literally like is like, I'm not going to make it to Rio in time. So he gets into a Mario pipe and like dresses up as Mario and shows up at the actual Olympics coming out of a Mario pipe. And we're like, holy shit.
It's a really cute video. So like, if you want to pick me up, that's
it was pretty great. And people were saying, they're like, wow, this is like the nerdiest Olympics yet. And I'm like, well, Japan really is like, sort of a lot of our trends here in America are set by Japan. So, I mean, I'm not surprised by that.
Cooler than we are. So.
I mean, that is true. That is true, which is interesting given our history. So, yeah, right.
Anyway, Star Wars.
Yeah, there's a Kenobi fan film coming out.
Is that actually coming out? I thought this was. I know somebody made like a fan-made trailer.
Maybe that's what it was, but it's like it's a trailer that looks really great. It looks like an actual film.
Somebody made like a trailer that was a bunch of. I don't think they're actually making a fan film. That'd be cool.
You're right.
Some Kenobi cosplayer out there wants to do that, but this was just somebody like took a bunch of Ewan McGregor's footage from other movies and made it into a really cool trailer that supposes that Obi-Wan Kenobi.
This is the world we live in now, because you can make like fan films and fan trailers that like look
real.
Yeah, I know, look as the quality, if not better, than the actual movie sometimes. So
it's pretty fun.
It is pretty fun. Also, it is Super Nintendo's 25th anniversary.
Yeah, I think that was yesterday. But yeah, a lot of people talking about
Nintendo like immediately.
The SNES yesterday because it's the 25th anniversary, and that's an important number. That was weird to me.
92?
To think about it
Was
being
that what?
25 years old.
I don't actually know when. Wait, no, it can't be 92. Wait, what? You know, it is,
No,
because you posted the thing yesterday with Paul Rudd playing a Super
Yeah,
Nintendo.
I retweeted this old commercial of Paul Rudd from 25 years ago in a Super Nintendo ad, and he looks exactly the same because Paul Rudd is an undead vampire.
Yeah.
A fun video. And last but not least, apparently people are quitting Pokemon Go in droves, and I'm really relieved about it because it means I might finally be able to beat a gym.
I'm still like level 14.
Me too.
I
I'm like
have not
such a
actively
low
been playing,
level.
which is funny.
And I feel like I try to remember to play every time I go outside. I don't understand how other people got to such a high level so quickly. I guess they like hacked the game or something. Or
they either hacked the game, they could have bought a Pokemon account, but mostly I think people like actually did. Like, there's a place down the street here where people set up Pokestops and they like
just refresh them all day. And
no, they would be like a huge group of people just all hanging out at this area that's nearby that had 4 Pokestops, like all like within distance of each other, and they would just keep on sending out lures, and they would just hang out there like all night. Like I went there a couple of times.
Cool, but I have to.
But I don't. Oh yeah, I was gonna be like, I'm like, I don't have time to do that shit. Like everyone's like, you know, our friend Katie, she walks to work and takes the train and stuff, so she spends a lot of time passing Pokestops and sitting at one because the train station is like a mural, so like she just sits there all day. And then on the way home from work, she's like, my train's not coming for an hour, so I'm going to go sit between these 4 Pokestops. So I think there's a lot of people also like that where they do have time to kill and they have the ability to play the game and do it that way. But that is not you and me, especially since you and I do a lot of work from home. And also when we aren't at home, we have to leave and go do like 5 billion things. So, I mean, it's too bad because
we're behind everybody else, but we're still playing the game, and I think that's partly why the game is still fun.
And they're rolling
out
an update that is not the one with the improved tracking system, but they're like, oh, we're going to tell you more about their fighting stats. And it's like, who cares? Like, who cares? You're barely fighting this game as it is. Like,
I know.
So
I mean, there are some things that matter about the fighting stats, like using certain kinds of Pokemon against other Pokemon is always going to benefit you.
Yeah,
but
of course.
I'm such a low level compared to the people who are holding gyms in my town.
I'm also not playing for the gyms yet. I'm just playing to get all. I'm a person who grinds at games, so like I'm just grinding my guy up, and then I'll go compete. So like I haven't even done that yet.
You could probably start leveling up at gyms though, because if you play against gyms and you even defeat one Pokemon, it can like benefit you still, even if you don't defeat the whole gym.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to do. I try to defeat like a Pokemon at a gym,
and then
that's like a victory.
You're like,
for me.
I failed.
Well, because that's the closest I can get. Like I'm not a high enough level at enough Pokemon that I could beat an entire gym. Like it's just not possible for me. I would have to be grinding way more and leaving my house more than I have time to do, sadly.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I'll get there in like 6 months. I'll be like, I own a bunch of gyms, and like everyone else will be like, what are you talking about?
The
gyms?
Pokemon was so like 3 years ago, and like it's still this year. Okay, so let's talk about a throwback because we got to get moving.
Okay. So I voted for this throwback because so there's a sort of new Scooby-Doo show that's on Netflix, but it's like the gazillionth remake of Scooby-Doo. It's Scooby-Doo Mystery Inc. and you can watch it. It came out in 2012.
Yeah. It's really great. It's very funny. It's very tongue-in-cheek, and it makes you really love the show. But I love the show originally.
The show, this 2012 version of the show, is that a lot of it is just jokes about the original show, which has admittedly been remade so many times that like now any remake of Scooby-Doo is itself a commentary on the structure of Scooby-Doo. Like it's like with each iteration on the forum, they're like, isn't it funny how this exists? But it's like, it was already a joke, like, even in the first version, like even in the original Scooby-Doo episodes.
Yeah, like, because you and I were talking about the Hex Girls on the show. Yeah. They appear in Mystery Inc. And you like sent me a clip of the original Hex Girls. And I was like, Maddie, this isn't even the original Scooby-Doo. This is like the late 80s, early 90s Scooby-Doo. Like, this is when Scooby-Doo was remade for like the third time. Like,
which I still remember. So like, for me, Scooby-Doo getting remade for the third time was probably like a Scooby-Doo that was on when I was a kid.
You know what's actually interesting? I mean, I watched a lot of the original Scooby-Doo as a kid. I really, really loved it.
Yeah, me
because
too.
I mean, it involved solving mysteries, and there was a dog, and there were ghosts. I mean, like that's all like Ryan requirements right there. And like, you know, it's interesting how this show has continued to like live on through like every decade, like, and has been
like,
remade so many times that people
that
like
everyone's familiar
even
with.
kids now like know what Scooby-Doo is, and they watch it because it keeps on getting remade. And there aren't a lot of shows like that. I think the closest thing I can think of is like Ninja Turtles, which is younger than Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, it hasn't been reviewed as many times, and like
right. But still,
Scooby-Doo,
it's as popular as Scooby-Doo was. You know, like it keeps on getting remade, and people really love the concept. I don't think there is anything quite as old as Scooby-Doo is. I think it might be the oldest kids show that is still living. Somebody could correct me if there is something that I'm not thinking about, but like,
it's
you know,
definitely like incredible how well that concept holds up. Like, it's 4 kids, 2 guys, 2 girls, and then this dog that is also intelligent for no reason.
Yeah, but not really that intelligent. It just can sort of talk.
Kind of, which is crazy, and like does not make sense even in the original show.
And there's like a lot of context where people are pretty much like, okay, so Shaggy is literally smoking up in every episode, and it's very obvious that's what's happening, but it's like never said.
It's not said, but it's like everybody knows that Shaggy is constantly high. It's like obvious that he is.
I think it's interesting that they've worn the same outfits for like plus 40 years now.
That's
like,
cool too, because it
like those were from the 70s, and like that's what they're wearing were popular trends now, and now, or sorry, then, and now they still dress that way.
Cool,
but they somehow make a way to
people wear that stuff again as like a cool throwback.
I mean, like Shaggy works because it's so, I mean, it's like a green t-shirt with pants or whatever, but like, you know, like people like Fred, like you don't see guys wearing that ever.
I mean, you see hipsters wearing like little scarves and stuff.
Maybe. I don't know about that.
He does look very preppy though. It is like a very particular look. And like Daphne's look is like
very 70s
style. And I mean, but those characters are so iconic that nobody would ever think to change.
And that's I mean, that's the thing. It's like they really do like carry over in every generation. And I don't know, I love that even like Venture Brothers, again, back to that pulled from this law where they were like, okay, they're battling the monster of the week, and then we're going to find out who it really is. And then it's usually Scooby-Doo honestly did throw me a lot, because they would also in every episode introduce like 2 or 3 new characters to the plot, and you would always think it's one character, but then it wasn't. And like, I think it did a pretty good job of like throwing you off as a kid anyway, like trying to figure out like who it actually is.
It's always obvious, and like usually they would come up with reasons why the mystery was happening that would actually kind of make sense. Like, oh, this person's actually trying to steal money from people. Or
like usually the character is like mad about something, and like, and that's always carried through in all the iterations where like, you know, whoever would be like really angry about something that's happening on like in wherever they live, and they are trying to do something about it. So
yeah, I mean, it's so simple, but I know I watched a ton of it as a kid, and I really don't even know if I could identify what I liked about it. The characters in the very original version of the show, which was on in reruns for like ever, even though it was made before I was born. There's very little characterization. Like Shaggy was like the comedic relief, and
so was Scooby.
Yeah, and the 2 of them were like, you know, constantly eating snacks and like getting into hijinks. But then the other 3 characters, like there was very little.
Velma,
like Velma was
a smart one,
but like not really, because Fred and Daphne would also solve things just as well. Like it was just kind of like these 4 kids were friends, and you kind of could put whatever characterization you wanted onto them. And I think people are like, oh, you would expect Daphne to be a ditz because she's the conventionally attractive one. But even in those original shows, that's not the direction that they went with it. Like,
no, they never really did that. I know they did it with the movies, the 2 live action movies, which are...
Those movies are strange.
I watched them both recently because they were on Netflix, because I'd never seen them before.
I haven't rewatched them. I actually saw the first one in theaters, and even while I was watching it, I was like, this is a really strange interpretation of these characters, because
it is. I actually did enjoy them though, because I was like, these movies are like really like, they're fun movies, but you're right that they were very weird interpretations of them, because it was like Daphne was really dumb, but also Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, because they cast Sarah Michelle Gellar.
So they're like, we may as well make her fight.
Star at the time, so they had Daphne fight, which again doesn't happen on the show. Like, there's no fighting really. It's mostly the characters running from ghosts, which will turn out to be like
not a
robots
ghost
or contraptions or people in costumes or special effects or whatever. So it's mostly the characters running away and then looking at the environment and figuring out that the ghost isn't real or whatever.
But it's interesting if you talk to people about Scooby-Doo and you're like, what character did you like the most? A lot of people do have one that they really liked. And like for a lot of guys, it's Shaggy. For a lot of girls, it's ironically Velma. And some
Which
people
makes
really like Daphne.
Makes sense though.
But there's like not a lot of love for Fred out there.
That's true. But he's kind of like, I don't know. I don't see a lot of love for Fred and Daphne, and I think it's because both of them are just kind of like they're the normal ones, and then Shaggy and Velma are like the weirdos. Even though absolutely none of that characterization is actually in the show.
I think
it's entirely fashion choices that you like extrapolate. Like, oh, these characters are dressed in a certain way, so I make these expectations about them, but it's not actually based in anything, which is interesting.
So of all the iterations of Scooby-Doo, I definitely recommend Mystery Inc. because I feel like they actually did kind of characterization to all of them.
They did. They like add in more characterization that
and
was not
I feel
previously
like
there.
I know, and I feel like what they ended up doing really worked for them. Like Velma was more of like she was a super nerd, but she also was sort of like a grungy Daria type. You know, and like
they also like give all the characters flaws. Like they have actual problems.
right.
Definitely changes.
And they fight with each other a lot. And I like that.
They seem a lot more like real teenagers in Mystery.
Right. Exactly. So I don't know. I'm into it. I love Scooby-Doo. I always have. And like I don't know. I sort of remember watching a lot of Scooby-Doo when we were on vacation in Cape Cod a lot when I was a kid. So like does resonate with me. And also when I lived in an apartment, which was when I was like under 6 years old. So yeah, Scooby-Doo, man.
I would also definitely say that if you remember watching it as a kid, Mystery Inc. is a lot funnier because like Kara enjoyed it and she never watched Scooby-Doo, but like I was watching it and I was like laughing my head off at the
God, it's really funny.
There's like but like anytime they would refer to a previous episode, I was like, oh my god, this is from such and such.
And Kara was like, what
you're talking about right now. But yeah, I just really enjoyed that aspect of it. So it's actually really fun either way. Anyway, reader mail?
Yep, reader mail. Okay, so today's question, number one, we throw out there was, what was your favorite band as a teenager? And we did get quite a few answers. I think I'm going to actually answer it first before we get into that.
Eiffel 65.
Okay, yeah, well, we did listen. I guess it depends on what time period, because from 12 to 13, what we were listening to then was very different from what we were listening to from 15 onward.
That's true. And I think that's true for most people.
Right, because when we were 12 and 13, you and I definitely listened to like a lot of Smash Mouth and Britney Spears and
Eiffel 65
Blue. I actually owned the album, which was pretty great, and Santana, which was probably like the best thing we listened to of all four of those things.
My dad like genuinely liked Santana.
I also listened to
a guitarist.
Yeah, well, he's a great guitarist. I also listened to like a lot of Sugar Ray at that time.
And, I mean, those were all very popular bands. Like, there's no surprises in terms of...
But okay, so but the time we were 15, I think you and I also still listened to a lot of the same stuff, because at that point, and even now, I'm still really into these bands because they really, when I was a teenager, ended up impacting me a lot. As I listened to a lot of Korn, I listened to a lot of Rob Zombie, Smashing Pumpkins, Nine Inch Nails. Those were the four main ones. I listened to those for a lot. Disturbed came a little bit later. I think
that was more me than you. I don't know why I liked them so much, but I was, it's very hard.
No, I know. I have a couple of their albums. I really like Disturbed too, but that was later. That was like by the time I was 18. I'm thinking around 15, 16. Those were the four main ones. And then Disturbed and Drowning Pool were another one. And
Tool, Metallica.
Yeah, Tool. I was huge into Tool. I got into Metallica a lot later. I got into Slipknot before I got into Metallica.
Yeah, I was. I like
the transition here. We you and I basically listened.
We're just listing goth bands. I mean,
we were 12, 13, and then it took a dark turn somewhere.
I think that's to be expected. Especially like our listeners know we've described what we were like then. Like I think that's the list of bands that you would expect.
Yeah. You also listen to a lot of. I listened to a lot of
I listened to a lot of Garbage, Snake River Conspiracy, and Tori Amos. Those were like the girl.
Oh yeah, that's right, Tori Amos.
And Tori Amos worked with Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails for some of her songs, and like they were collaborators during that time. And I loved that, and I even remember at that time like people that I knew, not you, but like just other goths at school would be like, what, Tori Amos? And I'd be like, she's actually really cool.
Yeah, but you like have a legitimate reason. You explain stuff to them, so whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that if you're a girl and you're in that scene, then you have to like extra prove yourself. Like there's definitely people who would be like, oh, garbage, that's just pop music and that doesn't really count as rock, even though it's definitely just as
I don't know. I mean, like
feel inspired as
right.
Korn.
I was gonna say, like, another one that comes to mind when you think about that is Dido, who actually wrote a lot of like
Dido and Frou Frou were like a little later, but I remember us both getting into like that synth. I would say they're poppier or more melodic at least, but I remember Dido and Frou Frou were like around the same time, like late in high school, that we both were like, these are cool female artists.
You know, it's funny is that we still listen to a lot of this music, or at least I do. I definitely still listen.
Still listen to Garbage.
I definitely still listen to Korn and Rob Zombie.
I know you do. I still like Rob Zombie.
They're actually on tour together right now.
I think we talked about this recently, but like Rob Zombie does a lot of stuff. He writes comic books and like helps make movies and does. Yeah,
I know he's actually pretty multi-talented.
Is really amazing and like has said some really inspirational things like to kids and stuff. Like he's actually like a pretty cool dude.
No, I know. I that's what I liked about him when he was
Rob Zombie. Like do some research on what the guy's actual hobbies
when we were teenagers. I listened to his music and I was like, I love this shit.
This is before I understood. Dead girl,
right? But like, this is before I understood that I was really like kind of like into metal. And I was like, oh, I really love his stuff. But then you would like read about him online and he'd be like this really nice guy with his poodle or whatever.
I didn't read about him online at that time. I wasn't reading about it.
I guess, I mean, I was reading about his stuff in bookstores and then eventually online. But like, you know, back when you had to go and buy CDs and records from the record store.
Yeah. Look, I mean, you're saying that like I don't remember it. I know.
All right, let's read some of the some of the listeners listen to. So we have one from Taylor. It says, "Hi, Maddy and Ryan. I couldn't decide on a favorite band, so here are the 3 CDs that I played most as a teenager: Light and Magic by Ladytron, Santa Gold by Santa Gold, and you're gonna like this one, Flesh Tone by, is it pronounced Kelly's? I can't remember. You listen to her.
Do I? How?
Kelis.
Oh gosh, I didn't start listening to any of those bands until I was an adult, though.
Well, like, okay, but I think this might be slightly younger. So I mean, I don't know.
But I like went back and I was like, oh, synth pop is really cool, and now I like it, and now I like Kelly's and Bjork, and like I'll listen to those things now. But I didn't.
Oh man, Bjork.
Actually, but I wasn't listening to that stuff.
Right? No, Bjork was somebody I got into in my 20s, and I really loved her stuff then.
Yeah, and
he also wrote Kelly's album blew his mind, so I just want to let you know.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean I like all that stuff now. I just don't know why I didn't like it as a kid. I think because I was just too hardcore and there had to be guitars with 6 filters all over them in order for me to listen to anything. But yeah, that's just where my brain was at back then. But now I can appreciate like a clean synthesizer tone.
I know, me too. And then Kevin wrote in a whole bunch of stuff, and he wrote, "Hi, Maddy and Ryan. Here's a very embarrassing list of my favorite bands before I understood music, even though I played the drums." And then he goes on to listen to a whole bunch of stuff that we also listen to, including Spin Doctors, SWV, Arrested Development, Snoop Dogg, Onyx, Korn, and Limp Bizkit, in parentheses, Why God.
Okay,
Limp Bizkit was huge when we were at that age, though.
I was never that into that even then.
He goes, luckily, my dad had good taste and shared with me Pink Floyd, The Doors, The Who, and The Cars. And then he goes, then I got a job at a record store, and he got into System of a Down, Mudvayne, Zao, Jedi Mind Trips, A Perfect Circle. Oh my God, why didn't I say A Perfect Circle? We listened to a ton of that.
All of this? This is weird.
And Tabla Beat Science. And then he goes, so for me, there's a very clear milestone timeline. Do you two also have a couple of events that dramatically changed your favorite bands? I think we just talked about that. Also,
there was no defining event other than puberty.
Oh my God. Also, who were the individuals who affected your tastes for better or worse? For me, discovery is key in high school. If I heard about a band from my peers, I was less likely to actually give a crap. Is this the same for you, or am I just a snob? Thanks for putting this show together this morning. I hope it goes well. First of all, thank you. And number 2, yes, Maddy and I were absolutely people by the time we reached 16 that wouldn't like the things that everybody else liked. Period.
That's true, but I think I like listened to you if you told me that you liked a band. Like
I think that's you and I traded off bands a lot.
yeah, I feel like
And-
we specifically like sent each other music all the time. And I was in a band by that time. 'Cause
right, and I
s-
went to go
started
see
my band when I was in 8th grade, and
Violet
so
Shift all the time. That was
but I
amazing.
also like learned
Violet
about
Shift.
other music because there were other bands in my high school, and so I would like learn about their influences and either be judgmental or not about what those other bands were into. And
I
like,
remember
so I
when I was that
respect
age,
what the other
LiveJournal existed, and you remember in LiveJournal, there's that little thing that said
in
what music you're listening to, and a lot of my friends who are also in the goth scene would write what they're listening to, and then I would go and like download
check
that
it out. Yeah.
or listen
That
to
would
it.
be like a song recommendation, essentially, is how that functioned. Like, it
Right.
wasn't actually what you were listening to. It
I
would
don't
just
actually
be
know
like,
how we got into any of the stuff that we did. Like, how did we get into Nine Inch Nails or
Well,
Korn or Rob Zombie?
I got into Nine Inch Nails because there was like a really goth kid at my school who I thought was extremely cool, and he recommended things to me when I was in middle school and high school that I was just like, I'm gonna listen to everything this guy tells me.
that makes sense.
So that was part of it. But Tori Amos, I don't know how I got into. Like, I mean, it was kind of like you just heard about things, and if you liked the album covers,
Yeah, I guess it's this is interesting because it's not like now where like people send you songs online or whatever. It's like somebody would have to come over to your house and bring their CD or tape cassette and put it in and like listen to it.
Some of that stuff changed as we were growing up, because like I remember Napster and then Kazaa existing, and I would find a lot of music that way. Like,
I did too, but like not quite as it's like I think we got into Smash Mouth because our friend kept on bringing over the album whenever we like had a party.
Like, middle school, Smash Mouth was
Sure,
like on
but then
the
like
radio.
and then in high school, like I have no idea how we got into. Like I have no idea where Rob Zombie started for me, but I do remember playing a lot of Resident Evil and playing Rob Zombie at the same time. But
That's
those
probably
things,
what it was. He
but,
had
like, that's
zombie
not
in
where
his
it came
name, so
from.
that was all that you needed. You probably just Googled zombie music, and you were like, "This Rob Zombie guy seems
actually
cool."
That's probably exactly what happened.
I don't know. You just kind of find things. It was a strange time, but also I feel like I would pick stuff out based on how the album looked, like in the store.
I mean, that's
which
true
is
too.
crazy to think about now,
Right?
Like,
I know, but that's what you did. I mean, like that's
look at an album and you would read the track listing on the back and be like, "This sounds good." Like, that's insane. Like, you literally couldn't know what you were buying.
I mean, I know. I was there with you. Like, and
I just think
still
so
own like hundreds of CDs that I got like ages ago. Like they're like packed away.
I can't bear to. Anyway, keep going.
Okay. Quinn sends in, my favorite band as a team was The Doors. A lot of their music still holds up for me now. The lyrics, not so much. But back in high school, I would seriously defend Jim Morrison's abilities as a poet. Someday I will live this down.
I actually think The Doors are pretty cool.
I think they're pretty cool too.
I mean, I don't know a lot about them personally. I can't speak to that, but I think they have some cool songs.
And then James writes in, "Hey guys, hope I'm not late. My favorite band from when I was a kid was the band Rush. It was my dad's fave, and he got me listening to them. I actually really like Rush too. I have a bunch of their music also. And then
same.
And that's it, except for Skye, who first wrote in her favorite band, which was Radiohead, with Nine Inch Nails as a close second. Radiohead, we didn't mention that one.
I did listen to them. I always liked them, but they were never like a top.
I got into them when I was older, I think, like in my 20s. And
I
she
mean,
says,
I think they're great. They obviously influenced a lot of other bands at the time.
She also writes, "Yes, I was definitely a happy, well-adjusted teen and not depressed at all."
Yeah, none of us were. We were all doing great.
You were perfect. We definitely did draw really pictures of ourselves as vampires and death angels. No.
I will say that, like, in looking back on it, I'm kind of sad that I was so scathing about pop music and R&B growing up, because I was like so into rock and roll that I didn't realize how much good stuff was happening in those other areas. And like,
I agree with that.
That I was like, it's actually okay for me to like listen to pop
because
music.
Like then eventually you and I, when we get older, we were like, Britney Spears, Kylie Minogue, we like them. Like,
yeah, like I just genuinely listen to Britney Spears now. Like, she's put out some great albums lately.
I agree.
I'm not gonna pretend otherwise.
We're not gonna get into that whole thing, but you and I like have like a weird fascination with her anyway. So
I genuinely think she's great. Like, it's not even like a joke to me. But so there's that, and like I love Rihanna and Beyonce now, but as a kid, I definitely would have been like, what? They're like the popular girls who won't.
That's exactly how it was.
So therefore, I hate them.
I mean, like, which is funny too, because you and I also definitely listen to a lot of Spice Girls, but neither of us would admit that.
No, and I actually listened to a lot of Britney even when we were younger, and in high school I would listen to her stuff, but I just wouldn't tell anyone that I liked it.
Yeah, me too. We definitely have videos of me dancing around to it, but we won't get into that either. So right, let's go.
Yep.
Let's do some recipes so we can close out. Skye wrote in macaroni and cheese, 2 cups of macaroni, 2 cups of mozzarella, 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, which is optional, 2 cloves of finely grated garlic, and 2 cups of milk. Cook macaroni as directed by packaging in a medium skillet. Melt butter over medium heat. Whisk in flour, salt, garlic. Cook for 2 minutes while stirring constantly with the whisk. Add milk. Continue stirring constantly until boiling. Mixture will thicken after you should remove from heat. Add cheese, stir with whisk until smooth, and pour on top of drained macaroni, and then serve it. She was also mad at us that we didn't give her a heads up at all this week. So that's our bad, Skye, and we're sorry. And then she also writes,
the show's on a different day every week. I mean,
oh my
we
God,
didn't schedule it all.
She wrote a really long joke this time, and I'm gonna have to read it. So get ready for me to fuck that up. Imagine if Jeff Foxworthy decided to come back as a woke dude comic.
Oh no.
If you hate Family Guy but love Joanne the Scammer, you might be problematic. If all your faves and problematic faves, then you might be problematic. If you have strong reservations about kids having access to hormone blockers, but no issue with judges blocking those kids' access to bathrooms, you're definitely problematic.
Wow. I am not looking forward to social justice words getting picked up by comedians and like branded. I think it's probably already happening, but it hasn't like quite gotten to that level yet. Like now it's more just brands do it. Mm-hmm. But there's no commentary on the commentary. Like there's no comedian who's like, isn't it funny how kids these days use the word problematic? Like that hasn't like quite broken through.
I know.
I don't know. Comedy's weird, man.
I mean, yeah, but we're all into it. So, I mean, there's that. Also, I want to let you know that someone tweeted at us Papa Roach, just so you know.
Yeah, I saw that. Oh, man, I remember Papa Roach.
All right, recipes.
That one really depressing song about suicide.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. That one. That's the one. Okay, so recipe. I don't know if I ever talked about this on the show before, but I put in there because we made it again the other day as falafels. You may have talked about it, actually.
No. We've never talked about this. I don't know how to make falafel.
Well, basically, I mean, like, you can make it any which way you want because it's sort of like you make your own ones when you actually cook the falafel, whatever they're called, like the actual falafels.
Is it made out of like chickpeas and stuff? I don't even know what's in a falafel.
It's like something like that. And so you can buy those in the store and then you cook those. Or in my case, Ben cooks them so I don't set something on fire.
Do you just like put them in the toaster or whatever?
Yeah, or the oven, whatever. And then, you know, after that, you take them out and what we do is we cut a piece of pita in half, or at least try to. I definitely could not do that the other day and just like rip the whole thing in half.
And everything's falling out.
Yeah. And then then you smear some like hummus in there on both sides, and then you put in the pita and for a spinach. But there's this place in New Haven, Connecticut called Mamoon's, which is really great, and you can put pretty much anything you want in there. I mean, basically, it's like you're taking the 2 pieces of pita and the actual falafels and putting whatever toppings you want in there. Usually, they're like of a spicier brand, so that's sort of like the aesthetic you're going for. But if you're doing it from home, I mean, it's easy and you can do whatever you want. For us, it's just like spinach and hummus, and then the falafel itself. It's really fucking good. I mean, the falafels are good without putting it in anything. So I definitely recommend if you like that. And also they're vegetarian, so you can do that too. That's it. Falafel. Remember when you thought that was what a Blossom was?
I always thought the Blossom in Smash was saying falafel, and I was like, Ryan, why is that Pokemon called Falafel? And he made fun of me, and he's still
I still do.
Don't
worry about it.
It sounds like the Blossom is saying falafel. Back me up, people. Anyway, so here's a cool snack that I was like craving yesterday, but I don't have any of the ingredients for it then or now, but I would love if I did. Have you ever had like a bagel with cream cheese and some sliced cucumber and tomato on top of the cream cheese? It's such a simple
I've
snack.
done like onion on top of it, not cucumber though.
So good. Like savory veggies on top of cream cheese on either toast if you want to not have as many carbs or a bagel. It's like such a simple sandwich, but it's like one of the most delicious snacks ever. And I don't know why I started craving it, but I was like, that's a really easy sandwich that I could be making in the middle of the day at work when I'm really swamped. And like, I'm always like, oh, I don't have time to make lunch. Like that's constantly my problem. But if I just kept those things on hand, I could just really throw that together really fast. Unfortunately, I don't have any of those things. But somebody
Good
else
story.
who does should make that and tell me how good it is.
And also send you some of it via the internet.
I'm gonna grab some cream cheese the next time I'm at the store. But
Okay.
yeah, I love that sandwich. That's a classic, and it's been a really long time since I made one of those. But yeah, it's a vegetarian classic as well. Not vegan, but vegetarian at least. So yeah, if you've never had cream cheese with veggies in it, it's really good, and you can just like toss in your own.
I definitely did cream cheese on graham crackers when I was a kid, which is a weird fucking combo.
No, it's not. That's essentially cheesecake.
I mean, it tastes really good.
Yeah, it is really good.
It's not very good for you, but it tastes good.
I mean, I don't know. It's better than cheesecake. It doesn't have sugar in it, so it's fine. True. If that's something you're trying to avoid. Usually,
it wasn't like a snack that my mom and dad gave me. It was like we had a nanny for a little while that like. Oh. I don't know if you didn't.
That was like one of the things that you could make on your own without destroying the entire kitchen.
Yeah, actually, I think you might have did know me when the nanny was still around. I don't
remember a nanny.
That was like a weird like period of time in my life. But
when your parents were both working, yeah, that was weird.
No, that's a long other story. But like, yeah, so we had somebody that was there, and she made it for her kid, and then I would eat. Like we would eat them too, and I was like, "This is a really great combo."
It actually sounds pretty good, and it doesn't sound that bad for you.
We didn't really like have like snacks like that. Like we never had fluff. A bunch of people ate peanut butter and fluff.
I never ate that stuff either.
Your mom and my mom were like, "We're not getting this shit."
That's because peanut butter and fluff is just like the fluff is just marshmallows. Like
yeah, that's what I mean. It's like none of it is like actually like good for you.
At least the peanut butter is good for you. Like that has protein in it.
That's true.
The fluff part.
It's literally just marshmallows.
It's sugar, right? I mean, I don't know what that is.
I think people really like fluff, but I think
fluff is some sort of mysterious alien substance.
Yeah, actually, there's a movie about it called The Stuff.
I've seen that movie multiple times, which I don't recommend because it's really stupid.
I thought that was one of those movies that like also breaks like the fourth wall and like acknowledges us. All right, never mind.
I think there are many parodies of that movie, but the original movie, The Stuff, was kind of supposed to represent cocaine, I think, and that like really changes the way that the movie
operates.
Yeah, and it actually makes it like stupider.
I mean, it's a pretty dumb movie, but I don't
know why we're talking about this.
I don't know. We gotta go. All right. Thank you for watching, everyone. Please follow us on Twitter at Dr. Yoshi2 and Mitty Myers, because she's not a clone of Samus anymore, unfortunately, even though her icon is her as Samus.
Is it? I think it's just a picture of my face, but
well, at least on Google Hangouts it is. You can subscribe to our Insomniacs in the morning here, where we're Insomniacs, and also you can listen to.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. If you can listen to the audio only version of this show on iTunes if you want to.
But if you don't have iTunes.
At atomicblueproductions.com, there's an RSS feed where you can subscribe to the podcast of this.
Yep.
And also, Atomic Blue Productions is the name of the media company that Ryan and I put our videos on. It's just
so you can find it on YouTube right now and subscribe there, because that's where GENO is going, and along with other shit that we make, sometimes clips of this show. And you can find Atomic Blue on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And email
obviously
us.
This is a different channel than Atomic Blue. Like, you can subscribe to this channel and watch the full episodes of this show, but Atomic Blue is a separate YouTube channel. And
so basically you should subscribe to both.
It's a different thing. Like, yeah, it's not the same stuff. So if you
gave us a bunch of thumbs up or thumbs down. I don't really care. So.
I feel like we have too many channels and people don't understand it, and I don't blame them.
I mean, there's the third one that's like my vlog too, but you know, I'm all about not mixing brands. So anyway, that's it. Email us your questions and topics, and we'll read them on the show. And always check out for prompts, because we'll talk about that shit too. So
cool. All right, we did it.
We did it. All right, goodbye, everyone. This has been another episode of The Legend of Zelda.
Bye, Ryan.
Goodbye.